Welcome to today's Explainer, where we're diving into a genuinely chilling case of supernatural identity theft. But get this, it's framed as a high-stakes, systems-level reality hack. We're breaking down the mechanics of a fascinating source text called the Parallax Identity. It's this incredible story that mashes up dark, occult concepts with the cold, hard logic of digital systems architecture. And what makes it so incredibly unique is how it treats the magic of stealing a human life exactly like a complex cyber attack. We're going to map out exactly how a person can be systematically deleted from their own existence, piece by piece, literally as if they were just outdated software.
So I want you to imagine something for a second. Imagine being completely stripped of root access to your own body. You're forced to just helplessly watch as an invisible operator steps right in your shoes and executes this highly refined maintenance script of your daily routines. It's a terrifying concept, isn't it? I mean, think about the implications there. You aren't dead, you're just locked out. Our source material details the precise step-by-step mechanics of how this kind of hostile takeover actually happens, treating human existence like it's just a network vulnerability waiting to be exploited.
Okay, let's get into the mechanics of how this displacement actually works. The system refers to this new state as witness architecture. Our subject is a 34-year-old designer named Elias Crowe, and he finds himself totally decoupled into this state. Basically, he exists purely as an observer. He has absolutely no physical right access to his own world anymore. He can see his apartment perfectly, he can watch his own body moving around, and he can even drift through solid walls with this crazy, indiscriminate visual resolution. But he can't even touch a coffee mug. He literally cannot press a single key on his keyboard without spending a massive amount of his very existence just to force that physical interaction. He has quite literally become a ghost in his own machine, forced to proofread his own life from the outside. Now, what makes this takeover truly terrifying isn't just the theft itself, it's the behavioral delta. The usurper, an operator named Raphael Voss, he isn't just some degraded copy mimicking Elias. No, he's a total upgrade. He is actively patching Elias's social bugs. Where Elias used to ignore his mom's calls for 19 days straight out of pure anxiety, Voss calls her immediately, handles the conversation with perfect warmth, and leaves her completely happy. Where Elias avoided this really difficult architectural client for 6 weeks, Voss just steps right in, does the research, lands a firm start date, and actually negotiates a 30% higher fee. Voss is systematically optimizing the entire network of Elias's life. And this brings us to a moment that brilliantly illustrates the cold, calculating reality of this whole situation. Voss actually looks at the empty space in the room, where he knows the invisible Elias is hovering, and he just says, "Watch closely. I'm going to do this better than you ever could." It's brutal. Voss approaches Elias's life not as a stolen asset, but as a software project that requires a major UX upgrade. It is so brutally efficient. I mean, Voss even starts servicing Elias's neglected friendships. He sends this perfect, thoughtful apology text to an estranged friend named James, and then immediately deletes the sent copy, so Elias can never find a trace of it. He's literally locking the original user out of the upgrade. But Elias isn't just stuck. He's on a ticking clock. He's governed by a metric the system calls his observer coherence. Right now, he's sitting at 71%, and it is dropping. Every single time he tries to interact with the physical world, like applying mental force to knock over a cup or flicker a lamp, he burns this coherence. It's a fatal countdown to total identity dissolution within 30 to 90 days. He is eroding at the edges. Just to survive, he has to use these hyper-specific, granular memories as mental ballast to hold himself together. We're talking things like remembering the exact weight of a Pantone swatch book or picturing the specific green of a broken mug. So, you're probably wondering, how does a hostile takeover of a human life actually begin? Well, it turns out Elias unwittingly designed the malware himself. He was commissioned to design a book cover called The Unseen Architecture, but hidden deep in the client's specifications was something known as a parallax anchor. Think of it as a recursive mathematical sigil that acts like a glitch in reality's code. It creates a local disruption in the causal membrane. And because Elias has this absurd 94th percentile design intuition, he built the pattern flawlessly on his very first attempt. He accidentally created the perfect doorway for his own identity displacement. And Voss didn't just stop there. To maintain this unauthorized session, Voss distributes secondary anchors all throughout the apartment. He maps the 4 coordinates of Elias's identity, basically turning his physical space into a locked server rack. Check this out. One anchor is scratched into the bathroom tile grout, hijacking his private life. Another is hidden right under a kitchen shelf, just sitting there in a domestic blind spot. A third is purely digital, locked at zero opacity inside Elias's own design file. And the final one? It's scratched into the window frame, acting as a directional perimeter monitor to track any outward signals. It is an absolutely ingenious, distributed cage. However, as we all know, every system has a firewall, and Elias's firewall is his estranged friend, a digital forensics expert named Mara Vale. Mara starts to pick up on these fractional errors in Voss's performance. Over 3 weeks, she meticulously documents a behavioral delta. She notices his coffee order mysteriously changed to a cortado. She notes his unprecedented, entirely natural eye contact duration. And the craziest part, she catches that his laugh timing lags by exactly 0.4 of a second. By tracking these tiny, tiny anomalies, she scientifically proves he isn't the original executable. She's actively looking for the seam in his reality. Now, to confirm he's still alive and trapped in the system, Elias has to make a move. He burns a massive amount of his precious coherence to force a physical interaction, literally just moving a cursor a few pixels on Voss's screen. But he manages to inject a custom typographic key into Voss's spell checker on a draft email that was meant for Mara. He types these 5 characters, CAIRN, followed by a descending delta symbol. It's a highly specific flag from a custom typeface they built together years ago. Basically, it's a distress signal that only his firewall, only Mara, would ever recognize. And it works. She sees it, checks the typeface file, and knows for sure that Elias is still in the architecture. Okay, let's zoom out for a second because we really need to understand the ultimate payload of this hack. The syndicate behind Voss isn't just targeting Elias. No, they are prepping a massive territory-scale script known as a broad inscription. That book cover Elias designed, it's actually the activation layer for a devastating citywide event. If it activates, it will permanently wipe out the original thought generation of every pattern-literate creative in the entire city radius. It won't kill anyone. It will just fundamentally overwrite them, turning brilliant innovators into hollow people who can only execute other people's patterns. It's terrifying. But here is the wildest twist. Elias accidentally hard-coded a back door into the citywide malware. Voss, in this super rare moment of professional respect, leaves Elias a hidden document explaining the flaw. Voss found a cognitive signature loop. It's essentially an unhackable biometric lock based on Elias's unique genius that somehow got embedded in the final design. So now, the system throws a massive error. The lock requires Elias's dissolution or his consent. The citywide wipe will reject the activation input unless Elias explicitly says yes or until his coherence hits 0 and he dissolves completely. Elias himself is the literal lock protecting the city. And that creates a highly volatile standoff right at 66% coherence. The syndicate's monitoring hub realizes Elias is a massive threat, blocking their entire operation. So they order Voss to execute an accelerated integration to force a system crash. Their whole goal is to rapidly drop Elias's coherence from 71 down to 66% and eventually plunge it below 60, because if he hits 0, that broad inscription triggers automatically. Every single day, every desperate action Elias takes to communicate ticks that number down. It is a terrifying, rapidly depleting budget of existence. So, how does he win? To reclaim root access and stop the wipe, Elias has to execute an almost impossible 3-step reinscription protocol. First, he has to secure Mara's confirmed recognition to act as a stabilizer, basically a 5th anchor totally outside the syndicate's control. Second, he has to hold his eroding observer coherence above that critical 60% threshold. And third, which is the hardest part by far, he must achieve a 4-point simultaneous contact. He has to use his omnidirectional observer state to resonate with the bathroom, the kitchen, the design file, and the window all at the exact same microsecond before he burns out entirely. No pressure, right? All of this leaves us with a final, really chilling question to think about. When identity is just a distributed network of habits and social ties, how do you actually prove you are the original user? If someone logged into your reality right now, drank your morning coffee perfectly, charmed your neighbors, and ran your life flawlessly, could you navigate the unseen architecture to hack your way back in? The Parallax Identity shows us that the little things we do without thinking are the exact vulnerabilities someone else could use to become us. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and hey, keep your coherence up.